Hey guys, I hope you're well. I'm going to explain Glacial Lance and give a few tips for it. So you throw your spear at a very long range. See here the range, about the edge of the screen, even more. You do a lot of damage, but the attack speed is very slow, half of the normal attacks. Now most of the damage is cold damage. You're going to pierce all targets, you do a lot of freeze, and there is a mention here of icy fragments that do chill. Those are the icy fragments you can see on both sides, so pretty much a little bit more than the edge here will do chill, because you see here that the ice fragments have a 1.2 meter chilling radius, and they're on the edge here, so it should chill like a little bit outside of the fragments that you see here. Now for the fragments, if you have a frenzy charge, you're going to do an explosion. It's the fragments that will do an explosion. It's a pretty big explosion, so it will, even if the fragments are on the sides, the explosion is big enough that it will hit the enemies in the center and on the edges, so you're going to make a big explosion, like something like this, for all the length of the skill. The explosion itself does more damage than the skill, 200 something percent, 300 something percent, so almost 40% more damage from the explosion, twice the freeze. You can see the freeze here, 74, 148, so there is quite an incentive to get frenzy charges, because it is much more powerful. I will show you what happens if you get a frenzy charge. Here I got a frenzy charge, and then I'll do it, and then you can see big explosion, very big. Now, one thing that I like here is that it's very easy to get the frenzy charges, since you're just freezing the enemies when throwing the spear, and once they are frozen, they just don't move, so you can just go and do your Call the Weak skill. Very easy. For example, here, Call the Weak, they are slowed down, like an enemy like this. Let's see, it didn't move at all, so I just Call the Weak very easily. The enemy is not fighting back. One thing that you can do when you have frenzy charges, I'm just going to get one here, you can just throw your spear and go inside the icy fragments with your parry on. The enemies will just get frozen, and then you are near the enemies and you just Call the Weak to get more frenzy charges and repeat the next step, like this, inside with my shield, and they just explode or become frozen, and then I Call the Weak. Now one very good item that you can use with this is Circle. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but the last line, enemies chilled by your hits can be shattered as though frozen. That is very good with any skill that does chill on enemies, and Glacial Lance does chill with the icy fragments, so any enemy that is on this path becomes chilled, and then if you kill them with this ring, they will be shattered like they were frozen, even though they are not frozen. And if they are shattered, now you're going to have Herald of Ice, which makes sure that all enemies that shatter explode and deal this damage to nearby enemies. One small tip, if you went with this path and got Stalk and Leap as a node, which increases projectile damage if you've dealt a melee hit in the last 8 seconds, I recommend going for a Spear Field, because Spear Field is melee damage, even though it's ranged. So if an enemy gets hit by this spike, it will improve the damage of your Glacial Lance. I am going to show it here, so you can see the enemies. My DPS here is 324. If I do this, 369. So now my Glacial Lance do more damage. Now Glacial Lance is a cold ability, but the cold nodes on the Huntress aren't very easy to get to. There is some cold penetration by here, but you have to go like with those that are shock, so there you waste a lot of points, and going on this way or this way is a lot of nodes. What I would suggest is you probably are going to get the spear damage nodes here, so very nearby you can get this here, which increases cold damage when you are affected by Herald of Ice, which is a must with Glacial Lance. That is only 1-2 nodes, and then you get into the Herald nodes. That could be pretty good. And for the support gems, cold infusion to increase the cold damage, 25% extra cold damage. You could get, not this, you want to do the ailments, that's not going to work, but this 25% more weapon elemental damage. You could get martial tempo to increase the attack speed, as the Glacial Lance is very slow, so it will be a bit less slow, still quite slow. You could get, if we go for the charges, Perpetual Charge, so that you have a 35% chance not to use the Frenzy Charge when you throw an improved Glacial Lance. Otherwise, if you don't have the ring here, this ring to make it that the chill effect can shatter, I think I will try to improve the frozen effect, because that is already a strength, the freeze build-up. So you could go for freeze. If we go here, it is not this one. Could go for glaciation, so 50% more freeze build-up on a skill that already have very big freeze build-up, so that you have a very high chance to freeze the enemies when throwing the spear. And I think there is, yeah, if you went with this to maximize the freeze effect, you could go for Ice Bite to increase the damage when you are freezing the enemies. Thanks for watching.